if you're trying to get Predator Batman right now, I would really hate to be you because I got him at 6 stars when he was in the store. Alright, I'm done flexing. It was just a joke. Relax. Stop being a pussy. Today we're going to be ranking all the characters in the Arena store from worst to best. Now, just really quickly, I just want to get it off my chest. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm really disappointed that the Arena store has kind of turned into this. The number 1 and the number 2 spot, they're okay characters, whatever, they're fun to use, but the Arena store used to be so much better. I mean, you used to be able to get classic Superman, Predator Batman, horrific Scarecrow. Those 3 characters alone were way better than the entire bunch of these characters in the Arena store. I just wanted to say that just for the memories. Rip a really good Arena store. With that being said, I hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe and stay clean. Let's start the video. Starting off our list, coming in last place is going to be Firestorm. Moving on to number 9 is going to be Primal Swamp Thing. Just like with Darkseid, I always get somebody telling me that Swamp Thing is a good tank. Now, I guess you can just add a bunch of health and a bunch of defense, and he'll be a good tank, but the reality is, you could just do that with any character out there, and they're going to be a good tank anyways. Now, I know that Swamp Thing comes back to life, but if you make a character a really good tank, then they shouldn't be dying in the first place. Some people also tell me that Swamp Thing is a good character, since he's really easy to get, and it's really good for beginners. I really disagree with these statements because, well, once you start becoming a better player, you're just going to see that there's no point in having Swamp Thing. And don't even get me started on having this character by himself. He is a really bad character. He can be a decent tank for beginners, but by himself, this man is not going to be doing anything. His special abilities are all garbage. They don't do a lot of damage. He's a really slow character, so even if you want to build up combos for yourself to be using your special abilities, it's just not going to go well. And one more thing that kind of gets me mad about Swamp Thing is that a lot of us like to farm the campaign, and the final chapter and the final battle in campaign is Swamp Thing, which means that the character that you're going to have a lot of shards for out of all of the characters in campaign is going to be Swamp Thing. That kind of feels like a slap in the face. I feel like NetherRealm did that on purpose, but whatever. Let's move on to the next character. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Master Thief Catwoman. I wasn't entirely sure where to put Master Thief Catwoman, just because this is a character that doesn't really matter if she's good or she's bad, because all you're really going to do with this character is use her in operations, and that's about it. I will rank her a little bit higher than Primal Swamp Thing, because eventually Primal Swamp Thing becomes completely useless, but with Master Thief Catwoman, it really doesn't matter. You're always going to put her in operations. As a matter of fact, I'm not entirely sure why one of Master Thief Catwoman's special abilities does dot damage when you're never going to use this character in battle. And also, the reason why you're going to use Master Thief Catwoman in operations is because she gives you extra XP and extra credits. It's only going to be 12% more credits, but might as well throw in Master Thief Catwoman since you're probably not going to want to throw in any other characters and you will be getting a little bit more credits. Moving on to the next character is going to be SubZero. SubZero is a really fun character to use, but aside from his special 3, there's really nothing else going on with this character. And also, the reason why a lot of people like to use this character is to clone other characters, so the character himself isn't really that great. I know a lot of people use this in Arena and they think it's really fun, and it's true, it is really fun, but when I go to Arena, all I really care about is killing my opponents as fast as possible. And even then, if I'm done getting all the points that I need in Arena and I want to go have a little bit of fun, I'm not really going to be having that much fun if I just use the stats of someone else's character. And also keep in mind, the clone, even though it's going to take pretty much all of their attack, it's still going to have low health. I would much rather use one of my personal characters that I like to use for fun, like Atrocitus or Emerald Green Lantern. Also, just as a little side note, SubZero Special 3 costs 7 power bars. That is really expensive. I can go grab so many characters with way cheaper special abilities that are going to be doing loads of damage. Anyways, moving on to number 5 is going to be Blue Beetle. The reason why I put Blue Beetle at number 5 is basically the same reason as SubZero. He's a really fun character, but really not that useful. So what this character does is every single time that he uses a special ability, he's going to be doing more damage on his basic attack hits, and every single one of his special abilities has a buff. His special 1 gives him lethal boost on his basic attack hits, his special 2 gives him armor pierce on his basic attack hits, and his special 3 gives him defense. Okay, so the biggest problem with this character is that there's two really good teams that already do a lot of basic attack damage, and that's the League of Anarchy team and the Justice League team. And even if they didn't exist, or if you just can't get the League of Anarchy team or the Justice League team, it's still not a good idea to get Blue Beetle, because Blue Beetle's buff on his special abilities, they don't really last that long. And also, keep in mind that if you just did a special ability and you activated these buffs, chances are the opponent is going to start doing their own special ability or their own combos, and that's really going to take away time from your buffs. So the reason why I ranked Blue Beetle a little bit higher than SubZero is because at least Blue Beetle tries to do something on his own. And I really do feel like if NetherRealm just added a little bit of time to his buffs, he would definitely be a way better character. Anyways, now moving on to number 4 is going to be Grid. Okay, so before I start shitting all over Grid, a lot of you guys always send me messages about how Grid is a really good character to be using against the Justice League team, and you're absolutely right. He is a good character to use against the Justice League team. Here's the problem. So is every other character with a reflective shield, so is Atrocitus, so is Nightmare Batman, and also, if you can't fight the Justice League team, you can just refresh your opponents. And if you really want to fight the Justice League team, but you don't have any of these characters, you can use your own Justice League team, you can use the Batman Ninja team, you can use the Multiverse team, you can use so many different characters to fight the Justice League team. So just because Grid is a good character to use against the Justice League team does not mean he's a good character. Okay, with that being said, now I can talk about the character. This character is shit. Alright, he really is. So, this guy has a passive for whenever he loses a lot of health really quickly, he's going to activate a barrier, and this barrier is going to give him a lot of health. But here's the problem. This character can only really be built as a tank, so you're going to put a lot of health and a lot of defense on this character. And if you put too much defense and too much health on this character, he's not going to be able to trigger his passive because he's not going to be losing health really quickly. But if you don't put a lot of health and you don't put a lot of defense, he will trigger the barrier, but when it's done, he will die really quickly. Another thing that I really don't like about this character is that he also gets a lot of buffs and bonuses for fighting tech and cyborg opponents. Now that's really great whenever you're actually fighting tech and cyborg opponents, but when you're not fighting tech and cyborg opponents, which is like 99% of the roster in the entire game, you're not really going to be doing much. Okay, maybe not 99% of the time, but still, you're going to be fighting a lot of opponents who are not tech opponents and not cyborg opponents. So what are you really going to get when you're going to fight those characters? You're not going to get any buffs or any effects. I guess it's also not that bad, since Grid is going to be a tank, he's not going to be a damage dealer, so you don't really need to fight against tech or cyborg opponents for him to be doing his job. It kind of feels instead like, if you do fight opponents that are cyborg or tech opponents, you're just going to be getting some nice bonuses. And also, part of his passive is that he's immune to power drain, and I don't know about you, but power drain is probably the most annoying effect in this game. I really like using it, but I really hate when it happens to me. One final good thing that I'll say about Grid is that I know that this character is targeted towards brand new players, and because of that, I think it's really great that Grid is a really easy to get character. You can get his shards off the campaign, off of the challenge mode, and of course off of the arena store, and his gears also drop off of raid drops. Before we move on to the next character, I just want to say I kind of messed up. I accidentally called Grid number 4, he was number 5, and I also called Blue Beetle number 5, but he was actually number 6. So the next character that we're going to talk about is going to be actually number 4, and that's going to be Multiverse Batgirl. Look, I know her name is Batwoman, but that just sounds really weird. I'm going to go with Batgirl. Okay, so back in the day, I would say that Batgirl wasn't really a good character. However, over time, she has kind of grown on me. The only problem that I really see with Batgirl is her passive 1. If it wasn't for this little flaw, this character would definitely be way better. So her passive 1 gives her extra damage per buff with the Multiverse team. Here's the deal though, this only works with Batgirl. It doesn't work for any of the other Multiverse teammates, and that is a really big bummer. People have tried to use Batgirl with Multiverse Armored Supergirl and Multiverse The Flash and try to make her the main damage dealer, but it doesn't really work. Multiverse Armored Supergirl is still going to be doing more damage, and I really do believe that if Batgirl's passive 1 worked for everybody, she would be an amazing character. And I know some people might think that might be a little bit too OP, and NetherRealm probably did too. That's probably why they didn't do this, but I really don't think it's super far-fetched. Even with these buffs, I don't think the Multiverse team would be doing more damage than Heartbreaker Harley Quinn and King of Atlantis Aquaman. Her passive 2 is also really great, and it works for everybody. She basically just adds more time to the Multiverse buffs. And finally, for her passive 3, it's definitely interesting. So basically, for the entire team, if they don't block and they get hit by the opponent, there's a chance that your combo is not going to break. I don't think this is going to be super useful, but it is a really nice bonus. Anyways, now moving on to her special abilities, her special 1 gives her a 30% chance of being able to use her special 3 for no power cost, and her special 3 has dot damage. Now, before I move on, I say this about every single Multiverse character. Even if the character themselves is really bad, they still have really good Multiverse teammates like Multiverse the Flash and Multiverse Armored Supergirl, which makes the character a little bit better. But also, keep in mind, this can be a really bad thing as well, because if you're not the top 3 best characters in the team, you're not going to be very useful. And unfortunately, that is the case with Multiverse Batgirl. Also, just one more thing that's bad about Batwoman is that she's Batwoman. And if you guys saw the TV series or the trailer for the TV series, it doesn't look good, bro. It doesn't look good at all. And so that just makes this character a little bit worse. But I will say one thing. The trailer for Batwoman was so bad that I go back and watch it all of the time just so I can read the comments because they are hilarious. Alright, now moving on to number 3 is going to be Classic Batman. The only reason why Classic Batman is at number 3 is just because one of his passives makes it so that whenever Classic Batman is in your roster, all of your Batman teammates are going to gain extra health and extra attack. And this is a really good thing because you don't need to have this character in a team or in battle. As long as he's in your roster, you're going to be getting those bonuses and buffs. But aside from that, all of his other passives aren't really that great, and also, this character by himself is not good at all. He's definitely bottom tier character. He doesn't do a lot of damage, he's not a combo builder, he's not a support character, he's pretty much nothing. One time somebody tried to tell me that this character was overpowered, and I honestly didn't even know how to respond. I think that might have been the same guy that told me that Swamp Thing was really overpowered because he's a really good tank. That guy was definitely either a really big noob or he's just stupid, or he's both. So the thing that's supposed to make Classic Batman a decent character is his passive 3. His passive 3 makes it so that whenever an opponent misses an attack on Classic Batman because they're blind, then Classic Batman is going to gain power. And if we go look at his special abilities, only his special 2 has a special effect, and it's blind. The blind on his special 2 does last for a very long time, but my biggest problem with his passive is that the opponent has to miss on Classic Batman in order for him to get his power. I would prefer if this worked for the entire team, because there's really no point in having teammates with Classic Batman if you're just going to have Classic Batman tagged in all the time, and you're not going to be using really great support characters like Dr. Fate and Shazam and Power Girl on this character, because you're going to use them on different teams. So if anything, you're going to be using B tier support characters, and they're not going to be as great as Power Girl or Dr. Fate or Shazam, so you probably at the very least want to tag in and tag out Classic Batman. But again, the only reason why he's coming in at number 3 is because you only need to have him in your roster to give Batman characters bonuses. Now moving on to number 2 is going to be Raiden. Okay, so every single character in the Arena store, aside from the number 1 spot, is going to be characters that you really want to use in just Arena. They're not going to be really good in raids or solo raids. And from all the characters that I've ranked so far, Raiden is definitely better in Arena. And the reason why is because Raiden's special 3 does a lot of splash damage to tagged out opponents. And also, Raiden's passive makes it so that whenever the battle starts, depending on how many arcane teammates you have, you're going to start off with extra power bars. And, well, to be honest, that's pretty much it. Raiden is not a complicated character. You just want to build him up, do a decent amount of damage, use his special 3s really frequently, and you're going to be able to smash your opponents really quickly. And even if you don't have Raiden built up, it's really no big deal. You could just use artifacts to build up his damage, so that way you do a lot of damage with your special 3. Also, getting his gears is going to be really easy because you can get them off of raid drops. Some people also like to use his special 2 since it power drains, but for me personally, I really don't care if my opponent has a lot of power because I could just kill them with my special 3. And finally, moving on to number 1 is going to be John Stewart Green Lantern. I literally just talked about John Stewart Green Lantern because I was ranking all the characters in the League store, and of course, you can get John Stewart Green Lantern off of the Arena store and the League store. Some people didn't like the idea of of putting John Stewart Green Lantern in both stores at the same time, but I actually don't really mind because John Stewart Green Lantern is a good character. So, for the newer players, it's going to be a little bit easier to unlock him. Okay, so first let's look at his passives. He gives 100% team's hazard and hazard dot damage. He makes the entire team take 50% less hazard and hazard dot damage, and he makes the entire team immune to secondary hazard effects, and for his Green Lantern teammates, he gives them extra attack. So because of his passive, John is a really good character to be using in certain parts of raids and solo raids, especially when the opponent has hazards on the floor. And probably whenever you're fighting these bosses, the most annoying part is the power drain hazard, and because of John, you're not going to be getting power drained by the hazards. Now, the thing that makes John a really cool character is that not only is he a really good support character, but he's also a good character by himself. He's decent. If we go look at his special abilities, his special 1 does hazard dot damage, his special 2 has armor pierce, and his special 3 does a decent amount of damage. Also, Johnny's movements are really fluid. This guy is really satisfying to be building combos. So Johnny is kind of good at everything. He's not the greatest support character, he's not the strongest damage dealer or anything like that, but if you throw this character in arena, his special 2 is really good. If you throw this character in raids, his special 3 does a decent amount of damage, and he's really great support. Anyways guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a nice day, stay safe and stay clean, and I'll see you guys later.